In today's episode of the Easy Hard versus Hard Hard podcast, we're going to get right into the heart of the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life, and why does it feel like so many of us are struggling to find it? We will also address what happens when you lose your sense of meaning in life, and how that the work you are doing may be part of the problem. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, or something that you've recently been struggling with, I invite you to tune in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Easy Hard versus Hard Hard podcast, a podcast dedicated to help you find the work that matters in your life. As always, I'm Bobby Shelton, and I'll be your host, and today we are going to discuss the meaning of life. The meaning of life is the third problem that I see that stems from doing easy hard work and doing work that doesn't fill our souls and move us in a direction in which we want to go. Meaning of life can take on many different forms, and there's a lot of science and opinions about what the meaning of life is. Ultimately, the meaning in life is individual. It's what fuels you every day. What is your values, your drive, your contributions to the outside world and to yourself? So one of the things I want to start off by talking about is a lot of people ascribe their meaning in life to their happiness. But happiness is a lot like the emotions and motivations that we talked about earlier. Happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes, and it's not always present. Happiness is also an ideal that we put in our minds that oftentimes we can't keep up or we can't meet those expectations. So I think one of the first steps in understanding the meaning of life is to remove happiness as a measure. I'm not saying don't chase happiness, by all means. Find it. Find your joy in everything you do. But don't think that your meaning is directly related to your happiness. In the book, The Power of Meaning by Emily Smith, she further explores the impact of chasing happiness and using happiness to define our meaning in life. Quick highs, the next promotion, the next big vacation are often things people use to describe their meaning in life. It's something that they're looking forward to, and I will be happy, or I will have meaning when this happens or that happens. And that is dangerous because, as we discussed, happiness is fleeting. And therefore, if we use it as a measure of our meaning in life, then it's going to come and go, and we're going to gain and lose our meaning over time. In this book, she outlines 4 pillars that we all need to build a meaningful life. Those are belonging, purpose, storytelling, and transcendence. Belonging is described as that deep sense that matters to others and that they matter to you. When we are looking for a meaning in life and the work that we choose to do, this is often a big influence on how we feel about ourselves. If you are doing something for others, we often think that, oh, well, then others care about what I'm doing. But yet, this steals our meaning because we're not working for us. What we need to find is the work that we want to do that benefits both us and others. I've said this many times, but if you're doing something for others and not for yourself, how are you giving others your best? So once you find the belonging or your belonging, this will go a long way into building and understanding your meaning in life. The next point she brings up is purpose, and she defines purpose as a goal that's bigger than yourself. The last podcast, we talked about purpose and the problem I see with many clients that they've lost their lack of purpose. And while I like purpose as part of your meaning in life, purpose is just one part. Purpose is, in my opinion, is something that relates to one or two areas of your life, but the meaning of life is all these things cumulatively come together. So I do think it's important to have a goal that's bigger than yourself. And this goes hand in hand with the belonging that what you're doing helps other people. So in order to find your meaning in life, you also have to find your purpose. And once you find your purpose, which I would like to, project that it's all found in the hard work versus the easy hard work that you're doing, then you can start developing your meaning in life. Storytelling is the third aspect that she brings up, and she describes it as the way we explain our lives to others. I think this part of the equation is something we often miss in the meaning of life, because the story that we tell about ourselves, to ourselves, and then what we show to others is invaluable to finding your meaning in life. And this is where finding your heart is so important. If the story you want to tell is your story, it's going to be a lot more powerful. But if the story you are telling is something that you don't believe in or something you're doing for the approval of others, then the story is weakened, right? It's not your story. Once you find out what you are, what you want to be doing, think of the powerful impact that is. Whatever in life you enjoy the most, let's say it's a hobby or your child or animal, you're probably a lot more passionate in that. So when you tell other people about it, they see the difference. They're excited because you're excited. Even if they're not interested in the topic or whatever you're talking about, it's just that excitement period. So the story you tell is very valuable to finding your meaning. I think that once you find your story, it'll be more easy to see what the heart is. And then it'll encourage you, because not only are you telling others the story, but you're telling yourself every single day that this is who I am and this is what I'm going after. The last pillar that she discusses is transcendent. And she says this is the moments when you feel part of something bigger. And I think this is very important. In coaching, there's a lot of talk about, spirituality or your connection with the universe. And this is, I feel, very important. This is something that was very critical in me finding my meaning of life, because when you work at something that's not yours, you don't really feel like you're part of something bigger. And I know that seems kind of weird, because if you're working for someone else, you think that you're part of that group or whatever. But if you don't believe it, and oftentimes I find that the easy hard work leaves you not believing in what you're doing. You're not, it's not fueling you, so therefore it's not real. It's almost hypocritical or a masquerade, as we discussed prior, that keeps you from truly identifying or belonging to a group, and not identifying in the fact that you become part of the group, but that you contribute to the group and the group contributes to you. So these 4 pillars are a great start to helping to understand the meaning of life. But, a lot of, if you Google the meaning of life, there's over 1 billion different queries that'll come up. So as you can see, this is just one opinion on the meaning of life, but it's something that resonated with me because I saw this in my quest for the meaning of life. So I think this is even more critical to get some kind of framework around how you describe the meaning of life, and especially if you've lost it or you're searching for it. Because in a world that's more and more disconnected with social media, working from home, the human interaction being lessened, we really need to find out what's important to us. And we need to find, whatever it is, if it's not the 4 pillars that we just discussed, whatever gives you, the drive, the internal, determination, motivation, if you like that word, that brings you forward. So a lot of people find meaning in life in relationships, work, their personal growth, spirituality, and service to others. If these are important to you, really sit down and think about those things and figure out, is the work you're doing helping those or taking you further away from those? So now that we've discussed how to find our meaning of life and to find it for ourselves, what happens if you've lost it? If you don't know exactly right now what your meaning of life is? Well, the good news is you can always regain it. I lost my meaning in life, and I went on a long quest to go find it. And while it took me a lot of time, I hope that talking about it with you can help you avoid some of the mistakes I made and give you a few ideas to think about and start practicing that may help spark and bring back the meaning of life for you. As with any of my things, again, this is what worked for me, and I can't say it's going to work for you, but it's a start. If you don't know where you're at and you're really searching for your meaning of life, these are some places to go. And the first thing with the easy hard versus hard hard method is you need to find what truly matters to you. Really sit down and think what you want to be. Who are you? What drives you? If you're finding that whatever you're doing doesn't align with these feelings or values that are you, then that's the first step. Find your action that'll feed that. Because once you start feeding that, you're going to start having more enjoyment in your day, a greater sense of productivity, more purpose, all the problems that we talked about, which will then lead to a better defined meaning of life. And you'll just have this underlying emotion or guidance in what you do. And once you take the first steps and find the first piece of work that you should be doing or that matters to you, then others will follow. And you'll find that your day will start becoming filled with what you want to do versus what you say you should do or what you think others want you to do. Along this way, it's very important, though, to contribute to others. So that would be the second thing in regaining your meaning of life. When the work you do for yourself is done, you're going to start being more present for others at the very least. You're going to start being able to help them because you're at peace with yourself. You're following your path. And when you start being able to contribute to others, you're going to start seeing how your hard efforts are providing you more meaning and a reason to be around. As I told you in the last episode, I didn't understand why people wanted to be around me. And again, while that was false, it really caused me to think, because now that I've found more of my meaning and I'm doing the hard work, I find that people want to be around me even more, right? Because I'm open, I'm honest, I'm more in tune with their concerns, and I can give them, help and guidance on the things that I've struggled with. Instead of trying to please them, I'm there to help them and contribute to their lives. Again, going back to the 4 pillars, focusing on something bigger than yourself. And I know people didn't tune into this podcast to be witnessed to or to be told what religion or what spirituality practice to follow. And I'm certainly not going to do that. I personally have found that finding and regaining my relationship with God and following the principles of the Bible have helped me tremendously, because it's bigger than myself, right? I am just a small cog in a big machine. And knowing that and living my life every day towards those ideals, because they are who I am, right? I want to do unto others as I do to myself. And knowing that I'm part of something bigger helps me in 2 ways. Number one, it gets me outside of my head. So when things are going bad, it gives me another perspective to look at. And 2, it allows me to be a little selfish in what I go after and doing the hard work, because I know that me advancing myself is more beneficial to others and not merely myself. So I have a purpose. I have a meaning to everything that I do. The storytelling element that we discussed, I think, is very critical in regaining your meaning of life. If you are walking around and telling yourself a false story or a negative story, that doesn't benefit anyone. So finding your hard work will allow you to begin to, or start, if you've never done it, to, give yourself a story every day that is encouraging and is positive. And again, we can't discount the bad days. I had a bad day yesterday myself, but because I told my story and my story was positive, I was able to say, okay, well, today's just a bad day, but tomorrow's going to be a great day. And a lot of people say that, when I was struggling with depression, a lot of people said, "Oh, well, just think about, that you're going to get better or this." But if internally you keep telling yourself like, "Oh, I'm never going to get better," and then it just escalates to more and more negativity, it's very difficult. So I understand when people say that to you, they mean well, but you're going to have to find that for yourself. You're going to have to start telling yourself a story every day. This is my meaning. This is what I'm going to do today. And this is the steps I must take to do it. I can't tell you how invaluable this was to me. This was probably the most important thing to my healing and becoming who I am today, is when I was able to step aside and stop telling myself a negative story. Again, you're inside your head all the time. Make it as positive as possible. Once you have your meaning in life and you know it's right for you, that story is going to become easier and easier and easier, and you're going to look at the positives. You're not going to look at the one thing that went bad that day. You're going to look at the 1,000 things that went good. And that's so important. Changing your story, both to yourself and what you show to others, is going to really help you regain that meaning in life. The final piece to regaining the meaning of your life is, of course, finding the hard work. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast and the book that is being written. And I think it's so valuable because once you find your hard work, all these other things that we discussed are going to start falling into play. You're going to start showing up for others. You're going to start contributing to others. You're going to start telling yourself a more positive story and start telling others the same story. You're going to really find that when you find the hard work and you're doing the work that matters to you, meaning will follow. I know this is kind of a promise. If you do this, then this. But I haven't seen one instance yet where when you just align your work, and it doesn't require every time massive change, and we're going to really dive into the easy hard versus hard work later on in this podcast series. But once you find that work and you can just go after what you want, all the problems, all the lack of purpose, lack of meaning, lack of productivity, just kind of all vanish. You don't even think about them anymore. And therein lies what I believe is the true meaning of life, is when you can do work every day that satisfies you and then contributes to others. You're going to find a happiness and peace, and your meaning is going to reveal itself to you. So if you're someone who's, like I said, lost their meaning of life or never had it or struggling to regain it, I highly encourage you to start looking at the work you're doing. Take all these pillars that we talked about, take all the ways to regain your meaning of life, and start applying them to yourself. Once you start making small action and behavioral changes, the results are going to be infinite. You're going to gain so much ground that I think it's going to be valuable to you. If it wasn't valuable, I wouldn't be doing this. If I didn't see the purpose, I wouldn't be taking my time to get this message out there. But I found in my change, this has become my meaning in life. My meaning in life is to prevent as many people or help as many people from going into the depths of despair that I found myself in, because that's no way to live. While meaning won't necessarily give you happiness, meaning will provide you joy. And the more joy that you receive and have in your life, the more happiness. It's just a byproduct of joy. And so I don't feel discouraged. Don't beat yourself up. Have positive self-talk. Make today the day that you start regaining the meaning in your life. Find what works for you and go after it. In closing, I'd like you to just think about all these things. Identify, are you meeting these pillars? Have you lost your meaning in life? And then start jotting down a few ideas that'll help you in aligning the work that you're doing to make it the work that's for you. And again, it's this selfish piece at this point that is going to be invaluable to your growth and finding your meaning in life. I mean, after all, it is your meaning in life. So therein, it's selfish by its very nature. But again, don't think of it as being selfish. Think about it as preparing yourself to be a vessel, to contribute, to be part of society, to be able to give to others. As always, I thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please share it with one other person. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Next time, we'll be looking into further defining easy, hard, and I'll go into a little more detail about how I came up with that and give you some examples of easy, hard that I was pursuing, and also some that I've seen in my discussions with others. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And until next time, I'm Bobby Shelton. Keep chasing the hard work and doing the work that actually matters.